about this 1,000 acre feet. That 1,000 acre feet we need to have kind of secured for, you know, probably 15 years down the road, kind of thing. That's something that we need to own.
Well, how many years down the road is it paid for now?
Pardon me?
I said, how many years down the road is it paid for?
Well, we're gonna have to keep generating income somehow in order to purchase more and more water.
Well, if we don't get any water to pump, where's the money gonna come from to keep buying it?
Right, that's the tough question. Right, we're gonna talk about some projects, I think, that could put water into the either into the aquifer from recharge, or they could be a joint project with the other sub-district or another entity to reduce the cost of some of these things. Central's Water Projects Committee, you know, we're all one collective board, but we always think about each three entities. The mother district we call CCWCD, and we also talking about and keep in consideration WAS and GMS. So these guys, you know, we meet on the ditch bank. We go look at recharge sites, new storage vessels. We meet monthly. The staff gives updates to the board. The board does a good job of investigating, going through the decision process, recommending the board how to proceed. Right now we got some projects on the table right now which come from, and one of your questions is where we can get the money. Well, we've sold some resources that we've purchased, or we're planning on selling some others that don't quite fit into the plan of augmentation too well, and we can use that money better in other places. So our first priority of this Water Projects Committee is to purchase some Greeley Irrigation Company water to replace some Weldon Valley shares that we plan on selling. We want to keep that senior water portfolio, what we have, and enhance it if we can. Another one is we're working with the Bijou Irrigation Company for a big recharge project underneath their canal where we could divert several hundred CFS whenever the river gets free. I talked about that project in this one. The Marino well field at the GMS meeting was be a party to this thing too. This Marino well field would be a water supply that we could count upon in the wintertime when the river is free below North Sterling Reservoir. You could drill wells on the riverbank, kick on the wells, put the water up into the ditch. You can make up your winter depletions, and at the same time you can store those other supplies that we have coming down the Platte and keep them up in this area. Put them in a recharge, you store at the bank, helps you for those out years, those years that you need it in the future. Ducks Recharge, I talked also about Ducks Unlimited. That's another funding partner that we've had some good success with. We're still meeting with them, kind of laying out our relationship. They've been successful in securing several $100,000 for conservation projects, and those involve building recharge sites. And the reason why that works good is because Ducks Unlimited, they're worried about waterfowl, and recharge, and the timing for the spring migration seems to work out really well. The ducks kind of like to land on our recharge ponds as they're heading up north to nest. So that works out really good. Heaton Reservoir is a reservoir off of the St. Vrain River, and this is another example of where we can work with the city of Longmont to cut the cost on a project. We grant them the easement. They get to use the property for recreation, open space for their public. We maintain a minimum pool in the reservoir. They get to recreate, have a good time, and WAS and GMS, whoever the party is in this facility, gets the benefit of a reduced cost storage vessel. It's in the works. It's, you know, it's all in the planning phase. These are all projects. Nothing's ironed out yet. 70s Ranch, a lot of you heard about it. It's the old historic ranch east of Greeley. There's A lot of potential for storage in the aquifer and the groundwater there. So these are basically the top 6 from many projects that that the WAS board and the WAS project committee has considered. The GMS projects list, the top 6, is a little bit different than WAS, just because each of us has different needs. We take in consideration where in the river do they need the water, what money do they have to work with, you know, those kind of situations. Some of the projects that we've completed or that we are working on, we just signed a deal with Peter Coors, who's our adjoining landowner on the Orchard recharge site. He purchased 160 acres north of our 440 acres that WAS owns in a 50-50 relationship with GMS. What that does is allows us to have another 30 or 40 acres worth of land area to park more recharge water in. And it also gives us a longer lag time to the river. You know, we want to have a lot of our recharge sites as far away from the river as we can. That way we can provide that 10, 15-year water supply. If we can keep banking this stuff and put it into storage, we can use the aquifer as a bank, and that's what we want to keep doing. Under this agreement, Pete Coors, it's a 15-year deal. The terms renegotiate every 5. Currently, the price is he's paying us $10,000 a year, and those funds go directly to the repair maintenance of these wells that are drilled on the riverbank, maintenance, repair of the pipeline, ponds, anything associated with that. In turn with this, you're kind of wondering what he's getting out of it, and what he's getting is a license or an easement to recreate on Central's property. So him and his buddies go out there and shoot ducks. It's basically what it amounts to be. So it was a good deal. The board felt it was a really good relationship. They also contributed $50,000 to the construction of the ponds on their farm. So it was a one-time capital investment of Coors for $50,000. We're still doing a lot of, I call small recharge, anything less than 5 acres. We're still building these. There's a lot of them going in underneath the Farmers Independent Western Mutual ditches, the Platteville milling ditch. Those are ditches where we have fairly senior recharge rights. They're 1987, 1989. I think the Platteville ditch is 1990. So they work out pretty well. We have agreements with the ditch companies to deliver the water to the sites. We got site agreements with the landowner, the well owner. And we try to get more water in the ground. This is a picture of one of the headgate wells, or 3 headgate wells that Gasp drilled 20-some years ago on the river. And this was their way of making augmentation replacements. Is if there was a calling ditch, they'd pump groundwater into the river just above their headgate. I show you this slide because this is what we want to do with North Sterling Reservoir Company, but the opposite. We'll still drill them on the riverbank, but we'll turn them around and pump the water up into the canal instead of into the river.